Hi, I'm Nathaniel Da Costa. I head the football development projects at the Forca Goa Foundation. I initially joined the club as a media manager, working with the first team and traveling with them and handling the media duties. But that time, because the ISL season was really short, during the off season, I started going out into the community and taking stories about people from the communities who are engaged in either community development or like working with developing and engaging communities. Through that work, I got introduced to the Forca Goa Foundation. It was a non-for-profit just set up at that time to use the power of football to help engage and develop communities. Eventually, we slowly took over the existing legacy grassroots program that was with the club, and we started developing football skills as well as community engagement. I started enjoying that kind of work. I started enjoying getting out in the communities, talking about football, seeing how kids were engaging with football. At that time, we had about 16 centers. That was 8 centers in North Goa, 8 centers in South Goa. We had about 15 coaches, so I had to travel across the state to see what was going on, how children were using football to develop what people thought about our football programs, and it was really exciting for me. So eventually I shifted from the club into the foundation. I then got my coaching licenses. I got my D license. I went to a Premier League Premier Skill program, got into the coach education department, and started coaching a few people into getting into grassroots football as well.
Now, I think we've understood you really enjoyed the grassroots side of things, and probably that's what got you to and got you interested in the project of Forca Goa Foundation. But for those of them who don't know yet, how would you describe what Forca Goa Foundation is and how do you break it down?
Sure. So the Forca Goa Foundation is a grassroots organization. When I say grassroots, we're talking about working with children in communities, and specifically children below the age of 12. So we work with children from the age of 4 to 12, boys, girls, and what we use is and leverage is the power of football to help them in a variety of development initiatives, either like through motor skills, leadership, communication, and of course general football development as well.
Now, give us and glimpse into the projects that you guys have undertaken, because I'm sure the ones who know it and follow Indian football are definitely keeping a close eye on what Forca Goa Foundation is doing and doing a lot of right things. So if you can just in probably a little more in brief and maybe detail of what you actually want to highlight. So break it down for us. What are the projects that
Sure.
you undertake?
One of the key things that we did at the start of our work at Forca Goa Foundation is a lot of research and understanding of what we require to do. As an organization working in grassroots, we initially started supporting the initiatives of the club. We said, okay, we need to bridge the gap and try and get children to come in for the club. Then once we hit roadblocks there, we realized that there were a lot of roadblocks, challenges within grassroots infrastructure in the state. So we said, okay, now we need to develop those. And then we came across grassroots challenges and roadblocks in the country. And we realized that these are challenges that we face that are very common for grassroots across the country in the football ecosystem, right? So some of the key projects that we are doing it's not rocket science. Everybody knows that these are the key initiatives that you need to help children grow. So the initiative that we have is competition, which are Little Gods League. We follow the baby league, the Golden Baby League format. We work with about 1,400 children in 3 centers across Goa. We do 5 age categories, starting from an under 6 right up to an under 13. Then we have a Field of Dreams project. That is something that we kicked off very recently, and that is a big dream for us that has recently come true. Another Field of Dreams project, we want to create safe spaces and at our playing fields where the entire community can come and use the field for development, right? So for example, we recently developed a field at Giri. And over there, now we have a Little Gods League, we have our under 13s training there, under 15s girls team training there, we plan to do coach development centers there. So we want everyone to be comfortable using fields and feel safe spaces for the community to come in and enjoy football. And the third project that we have is our community projects, where we go into areas that don't usually get support from or don't get the benefits of sport. For example, we work with an institution called the Owl House. The Owl House is a center for children on the autism spectrum. So we work with about 10 children there, and we have specific football trainings or sport-based trainings to help them address various development needs. We also work with Sanjay School. It's a much bigger school, but once we had that experience of working with Owl House, now we have taken it to a bigger level where we're training them as well. We also work with Kiran Niketan. Kiran Niketan is a Catholic nun-run school in a slum neighborhood in Vasco. Until 3 years ago, before we stepped in, they did not have any football program. We've been working with them for the last 3 years. Now they take part in the Little Gods League. They compete with some of the top clubs and academies. Last year they won the league in their age category. This year they came in second. So we can see the change taking place. We've seen increased attendance in those schools now. We've seen more girls participating because of our programs. And another project that we do is Girls Score Goals, where we're trying to get more girls to play football. We're doing that through coach development, trying to get more girls to come and take their licenses, trying to get more girls to play within our Little Gods League. For example, in our first league in 2019, we had 5 girls participating. In our recent edition, we had about 260 girls participating. So we've had 18 teams register across all Goa, which is a huge number considering if you consider that the GFA Pro League, the Goa Women's League had about 5 to 6 teams. The Little Gods League had about 18 teams participating.
No, I'm sure the ones who are listening to this and watching this, the biggest takeaway and the constant word throughout was community that stood out and how you guys are engaging there. I think also when FC Goa started on this Forca Goa Foundation kickstarted, there was also a lot of challenges to get the community back together because a few top clubs from Goa were fading away, at least from the top tier of the leagues. So when you guys were focusing on this with community being in mind, can you just probably I'm sure there could have been challenges, but if you can probably pick something that what was the most challenging aspect, one, and second, how has the response from the community been like?
There certainly has been a lot of challenges. You ask anybody in Indian football what about grassroots, and they'll be like, man, there's so many roadblocks, there's so many challenges. There's a reason why we are struggling in Indian football is because our grassroots is not set up. Why isn't our grassroots set up? Because there are heaps of challenges, right? The biggest challenge, of course, is funding. That is something that stops people from going for. Everybody has great grand visions and they want to do a lot of good things, but they'll do it for a year, 2 years, and then they realize there's no more funding coming in and they have to stop. Grassroots development is not a sustainable project, right? Because nobody is interested. It's not glamorous. Your first team, top tier football is where everybody would like to see. There's TV coverage, there's social media. Nobody wants to know what a 5-year-old kid is doing or how a community is coming together to support a team playing football. So initially, we had support from the club, but after a point, we as the foundation need to be sustainable, just like any other non-for-profit organization. So getting funding for our projects has been a challenge. We have been increasingly been getting more support. We've got just recently over the last 2 years we had tie-ups with Eicher Motors. We've had tie-up with Tata Motors, who's seen the value that we bring and the work that we're doing with developing our communities. So that has helped. Some of the other challenges that we faced is the perception that the owners of the club are wealthy. So we should do everything for free. A lot of people have come with entitlement saying, you know what, why should I pay? We don't charge a lot. We charge 200 rupees, 300 rupees, but even then that is difficult. Big issue in Goa is logistics. While Goa is small, people are spread out. Most of people live in villages. So getting from one ground, from a school to a playground, from a house to a playground is really difficult. There's no last mile connectivity. So a lot of coaches have to go and pick up the kids, bring them there, which is time consuming, which is not cost effective. So convincing coaches to come and bring their kids, convincing parents to come and bring their kids for 3 months in a stretch, 4 months in a stretch, week in, week out, to come and play was difficult initially. but now they see the benefits. They are seeing how their child is progressing. They're seeing the joy that football can bring. It's getting a lot easier now.
Right, and finally to ask you, what would a message from your end and from the Forca Goa Foundation would be for everyone who's watching this video, but especially from all those community from Goa itself?
Message I would just say is we are trying to have fun with football. That should not be taken away. A lot of times when we try to do so much, we forget that football is a sport. Should be enjoyable. Football should be fun, and that's something that we keep reminding ourselves and reminding our coaches that we need to inculcate that. And I think once you start having fun, once children have fun, everybody comes together. Another thing is we should not live in the past. One of the biggest problems we face in Goa is that because we have such a strong legacy in football, that we were so successful in football, a lot of people take it for granted that we will continue to be successful. I think that's also a problem most European clubs face sometimes, oh, we are so successful, we should just automatically be there challenging for the title or challenging. But Goan football, the standards have dropped drastically. We need to put in a lot of effort to bring it up to levels that we are seeing across the country. A lot of other states have overtaken us now, and we can't just live on legacy. We need to start working a lot harder to bring our state back up to the levels that we wanted to see it in.